So, obviously, we're a history show.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about a bunch of things, but particularly want to focus on Turn.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Since we're a history show.
Sure.
And have you been getting recognized more for Turn around here because of all the history nerds around? Or?
I think it's because it's out again. I am
Yes.
getting recognized more and
Yes.
more, but it just came out. It just got a re-release.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I started watching it, I told you, about a month ago.
So you've never seen it before?
Oh, no. it's my third time watching it.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So, but it's interesting because every time I re-binge a show, I learn or I notice new things that I didn't notice before.
Yeah.
And this time in particular, see, I sometimes I think that everything happens for a reason. And this time I go, the first two times I watched it, I always like a good villain. Oh, you know
Is there
what
a mirror somewhere?
you could do? No, but you know what you could do? Here, if you can look in the camera and you can see yourself up there.
There we go.
You need to get yeah.
That's nice.
Coming from a bald guy, I could tell you look fine if you're worried about your hair.
No, it wasn't that. I just had my hat on. That's all.
Oh.
So. No, we cool.
Good.
We cool, man.
So I always like a good villain, so I always liked Simcoe. But this time in particular, I became focused on Simcoe. And then 3 weeks later, here you are. So I feel like sometimes things are meant to be, and there's a reason. I'm like, I couldn't understand. I'm like,
You manifested me into Gettysburg.
I made you get the job.
Love that
Yeah.
shit.
I told Bo, I'm like, for some reason, you got to look to try to get Simcoe.
Can you go to like Mauritius or something and do the same thing?
What was I going to ask you now? You pronounce it Roukin.
That's how it's pronounced.
Okay, good.
Do you need me on
I've
the
heard-
cans? Do you know I need cans too?
If you want, you don't have to.
Okay. What do
Yeah.
most people do?
Most people put them on.
They do?
Yeah. That way you can hear yourself and all that crap. Yeah, because I was watching a couple of interviews with you, and one person said Roukin and Roukin.
Did I correct them?
No.
See, look at those manners.
Yeah, very nice. But I don't want to get it wrong. So, and then so what you want to do is take that right armrest, lift it up all the way, and use the table where your cup is as your armrest, so that you're kind of at an angle to the camera. Yeah, like that.
this.
See, so there you're more. Look at that, right? And then you look more relaxed.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know how to use microphones.
Needs to come up a little bit. How's that? Sounding okay?
Very good. Very good. All right. Looks like we got everything here. So, and have fun.
No.
If you can, if you could try.
Let's keep it serious, bro.
Oh, let's be very serious. Do like a Barbara Walters interview or something. Here we go.
From the Gettysburg Museum of History Studios,
Too loud?
you're listening to Addressing Gettysburg.
Sorry, I'm half deaf. So, hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Addressing Gettysburg. And as you know, when this is being recorded, the movie Gettysburg 1863 is being filmed. And much to my surprise, last Friday, I saw our guest today as part of the cast. And I was like, no crap. This is so cool because I love his performance in a show called Turn, Washington Spies. He plays Captain Simcoe, but he does a lot more than that. And he's in Gettysburg 1863. And we'll talk a little bit about that and Turn and DJing and a whole bunch of other things. Please welcome Samuel Roukin. Hello, Samuel.
Hey, Matt. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So I was telling you before that I recently started re-binging Turn.
Yeah.
And I became hyper-focused on Simcoe. And I couldn't understand why. And then 3 weeks later, you show up, and here you are. So, that's the universe doing something there.
That's right.
And it's your lucky
You're
day
a
today.
powerful manifestor.
Exactly. So let me know if you need anything. You, though, are a classically trained actor.
That's right.
You did some work at the Old Vic.
I did.
Why do they call it the Old Vic?
Old Victoria.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought it had something to do with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like a prestigious place.
Yeah. I also trained at Bristol Old Vic.
Okay.
Which is also very prestigious. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know that acting was a job until I was about till I was like a tween.
Okay.
But once I found that out, I thought everybody just did it for fun. It didn't occur to me that anyone did anything that's that fun
for a job,
for a work.
Yeah.
Sure. But as soon as I found out that it was a job, I was of the mind, well, why would you do anything else? It seems like it's the thing that I find the most fun.
Well, and luckily you have the talent for it. You were able to be trained and you have the talent.
And the
focus.
The determination.
Right.
To never take no for an answer.
Well, that's a good attitude to have too. So you start doing that, and when people say they're classically trained, what exactly does that mean?
Well, it's in the name. Like your training is mostly rooted in the classics, as in like the literary, dramatic classics. Your Shakespeare, your Chekhov. Mm-hmm. In England, like your George Bernard Shaw, like, all of, then you would go back and do, we would do like Commedia dell'arte, you would do, and then it's the classic disciplines. So like, certainly in like the first year of drama school, you're doing a lot of ballet, the classical voice work means that you are being prepared to work in the classical theatre spaces, like, having an instrument that can handle the main space of the Royal Shakespeare Company or the Olivier at the National Theatre. Like, you can't just turn up and do 8 shows a week, not mic'd, which I know a lot of things are mic'd now, but like,
So you've got to carry your voice all the way.
Yeah, and be able to, also handle the nuance and the peaks and troughs of like classical texts. So if you're, but Shakespeare, so there's that part. There's the vocal training. That's really what it means. It's a rigorous actor training that's rooted in the classical. The classical writing and also just the classical disciplines. So really like it usually means like a theatre heavy training, right? Because the theory is that if you are trained to do the most difficult literature in theatre, you can handle everything else.
Yeah.
That's basically what it means.
And do you, I know everybody kind of has a different method or technique for memorizing lines.
Yeah.
What do you use? What do you do? Or do you just have a photographic memory?
I think I do have something of a photographic. I don't think I have like I could say that I have a full-on photographic memory. I do, in my mind's eye, know where I've seen the words that I'm trying to find.
Okay.
Like visually in my mind, I can see where it was on so. But it's not like I can look at something and then I know it, which I think is what that's my understanding of a true photographic memory.
Yeah.
People say that
that's
what it is.
Take a snapshot.
Yeah. But no, my system is really, it's a little bit like how I do a lot of audiobooks.
Oh, okay.
And there's a way of doing audiobooks which is called punch and roll, right? Which is where you hit record and then you start reading until you get it wrong. Mm-hmm. Then you go back to a good stopping point, and then you keep going until you see how far you go into it. And that's how I learn lines. So
in other words, that saves you from editing? sort of.
You're editing as you go.
Yeah.
You will still have to do a little bit.
Yeah,
basically.
sure. You got to clean it
the
up.
idea.
But
That's the idea. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to have to try that punch and roll. I've
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I never employed it.
It works.
Okay. Good.
I don't know whether it like really reduces studio time. Excuse me, which is the whole point of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's some people
maybe
prefer working like that way, and some people do different. But when I'm learning lines, I do it like that. So I read whatever I'm trying to learn a million times. That's obviously an exaggeration.
Sure.
But it's many times until I'm super familiar with it.
And do you just start like just memorizing the cold text and then you start to put your inflection on it and everything?
So when I'm learning, I'm not learning how I'm going to say it.
Okay.
That's not part of, I'm learning just, I'm sure that happens sort of by accident, right? But for me, when I'm learning stuff, the point is that I go as far as my first mistake. And then I have like a kind of a strict rule. I'm a headmaster about it.
Okay.
And I don't let myself learn anything new until I've perfected up to the point where I called stop the last time.
Okay.
So I learn. It's like how they when you're learning an instrument, like when you're doing classical piano, for example, which I did and one of my sons does, but also like one of them's plays the cello as well. It's the same. Good music teachers will say, work on the bit you got wrong, and until that's perfect, don't move on. Right, and that's how I learn lines. And but I'm very, very fast now, so I can and you have to be in this world as an actor, because now, even with the SAG rules of 48 hours notice, you can have like 8 pages of dialogue, like dialogue heavy pages.
To learn in 48 hours.
To learn, yeah. They say you don't have to learn it, but you do.
Yeah.
And that's not very long, especially in the middle of, whatever's going on in your life. So, by default, you have to be good at learning lines. And then also just like doing a job like this, like we're doing a movie right now. Well, you can get the script can change the night before or on the day,
right?
Or like while you're doing it. So you have to learn fast. Your brain has to be able to absorb new words. It's interesting to me the brain activity that's going on.
Yeah,
because it's in a very different. It's in like a different compartment of the brain.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I cannot remember lines that I've said from jobs that I did. Even if I did the play for like 200, 300 performances. If you ask me 3 months later to recall the lines in one of those scenes, it's mostly gone. Like I could work really hard to bring it back, but like I don't remember these things
sure.
for longer than when I need them.
You don't need them anymore.
Yeah, so it's
and you've got to get room for other stuff.
Yeah, so it's like it's a small compartment, but it does hold on to things until you let them out. But I don't know, that's my system. It's pretty straightforward. I'm just very strict about not. There are people I often see other actors, and it's whatever works for everybody else. But I often see other actors when they're running lines. And they're like missing a line, and then somebody will give them the line, and they're like, "Cool," and then they move on, and they almost always make the same mistake the next time through because they didn't work it in.
Okay.
And so like for me, like that's when I'm doing it for myself. I go back. You
go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So Bruce was saying that yesterday. Bruce Boxleitner, we talked.
Wait, you had him before me?
Well, hey, I offered it to you first.
I tell you
but
what.
He jumped at it.
I think we know who your favorite is now. I'll never forget it, Matt.
Well, he's been hanging out with me. You hang out with me, you get great things.
He's been in the game longer than me. I get it.
No.
He's very important.
Well, he didn't have much to do. You're writing now.
Yeah.
right?
We had breakfast together the other day, me and Bruce.
He told me.
Did he?
He did. We had dinner the night before, or 2 nights before.
Oh, no, you're going for dinners with Bruce too?
Yeah. I got him to pay too. What are you doing for dinner tonight?
We paid for our own breakfast.
Oh, look at that. We were at dinner, and I said, listen, Bruce, if you get a chance, if you can encourage Samuel to do an interview with me, I really would love that. And he's like, don't worry, I'll do it. And then he said, yesterday we went to the battlefield, and he goes, I had breakfast with Sam, and he goes, don't worry, I said something, and he said that he's going to contact you, and sure enough, he did. So I'm glad he did that.
So he's taking credit now.
He is taking full credit. In fact, he said, I want producer credit for this episode. Wow. Yeah. So
give it to him.
That's how it goes.
Just take the path of
listen,
least
it'll make him
resistance,
happy, right?
Yeah.
You know? But seriously. Ballet. You mentioned ballet. They teach you ballet.
Yes.
So like a lot
I
of...
can't wait for this one.
Well, no,
yeah.
So football players, American football players.
Yeah.
Some of them take ballet, they say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not into sports. But
I mean, yeah.
they say, but it's good for
seen
you.
those ballet dances? I went to the Nutcracker in Chicago over Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Those male dancers, it's like ridiculous, the size of like their quads
Their
and
thighs
calves.
and everything.
It's unbelievable. That's so strong. Yeah.
Yeah. What is
So
it?
Makes sense. I mean, it tracks.
It does. Yeah, it does. And I'm thinking, I don't know if this actually makes sense to you, but once I heard that, there's something about, first of all, you're very tall. How tall are you?
6'4".
4. And there's something about your posture, in turn at least. Now that you say that you had to learn ballet, it kind of makes a little more sense to me. Even though you're playing a military man who's, mounted on horses and stuff, and there is a certain posture to that and all that. Am I just imagining this, or does ballet actually help you? How does it help you? Why did they teach it to you? Or did you choose it?
You would have to ask them. I think it is something to do with, I think it's really about being connected to your body.
Okay.
I think being an actor requires you to be connected to your body. I mean, it's not a head and shoulders job. It's a whole body job. And I think it doesn't matter what you do, whether it's ballet or, I don't know,
lift weights.
Or I think that's important. To be strong is very important.
Sure.
So if you need to do resistance training to help you do that, that's also like super helpful. But the body part is, you want to be able to use every tool at your disposal to have people suspend their disbelief and think that you are somebody else for a second.
Right.
And that requires you to understand, or at least make a choice about the person that you're portraying, like how they walk, how they sit, how they run or don't.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the physical idiosyncrasies of that character are, if you are not able to have full use of your capability physically, whatever that is, then it's going to be much harder to make those choices because you'll be limited by what you can do, which is always true. Mm-hmm. But if you've done ballet, which kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone physically, if you do any kind of dance, if we did period dance, modern, tap, we weren't always very good at them, but we were being trained as actors, not dancers, right?
Yeah,
But it was important that we did those disciplines because it pushed everybody past their comfort zone. And when you brought all of that back into creating characters, young actors, when they're training, is that they get stretched beyond their physical comfort, because that's filling your toolbox.
Yeah. Another arrow in the quiver.
Yeah. So as it relates to the Simcoe of it, right? Or the soldier of it, actors, and I speak for myself here, like we are collectors of humans, right?
Yes.
I love airports. Airports, which I spend a lot of my life in,
Yes.
are really fabulous places to collect humans.
Yep.
And by that, I mean, I don't have a bag of them. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's like
You know,
people
and you-
watch.
Totally people watching.
Yeah.
And, but but
You
actors are
absorb.
very good at retaining
Mhm.
and somewhere like, oh, wait, there was that guy I saw who did, and it can be useful. And in America, there are lots of military personnel moving around all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They let them on the plane first. They're very well looked after, and rightly so. And you ever see young soldiers, young Marines, whatever, they walk different.
Yes, they do.
And
And you could tell, by the way, the difference if they're out of uniform. You could tell the difference between a Marine and an Army soldier,
yes,
and a Navy guy and an
That's
Air
right.
Force guy by the way they walk.
but every one of them, Navy through Army, they look different to other civilians.
Mm-hmm.
They are physically pushed beyond what a regular person is.
Yep.
They have a pride in their movement in a way that other people don't have to.
Right.
They are held to a different physical standard.
Yeah.
And but there's also something internal in a soldier, which is like this purpose and pride and confidence
Mm-hmm.
that their like membership to that group
Right.
has given them,
Yeah.
and it makes them move differently.
Yep.
So when an actor is playing a soldier, you have to decide, as an actor, you have to decide, where is that person on that physical spectrum? And does it change, right? Does it change? And the answer is, of course, yes. As it with rank,
Mm-hmm.
it changes with age, it changes with injury or not, or environment or temperature, and these are the layers and the details that I'm absolutely obsessed with. Like, I mean, I don't go into anything actively going, well, what about that? I mean, I just can't not think about it.
Mm.
So, and you do all of that work before you get onto a set or onto a stage or whatever, so that when you're in those scenes, you're just able to be present, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, those, like, and again, like there's a very, well-known thing with actors when they're rehearsing or getting ready for a role, that the shoes are hugely important.
Yes.
So much so that in, well-established theaters, costume will get pieces of costume to you in rehearsal, like as soon as they're ready now. You don't even have to ask. It's like, it's a known thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because, being the shoes that someone walks in make a huge difference to how they hold themselves.
Sure.
And I think that's got a lot to do with soldiers too,
Yeah.
and why they all look of a club, because they're all wearing the same shoes,
Sure.
and it affects their gait and everything. So, but I think it's interesting that you tracked it back to training. I don't, because I'm where I am, right?
Sure. Right.
But I think,
But isn't it the point of training where you don't consciously think of it?
I think it's a huge part of it. I think, you practice doing those things,
Right.
and you practice putting it into practice,
Yes.
so
Well, okay. So the other thing you mentioned was voice training.
yeah.
Now, Simcoe's voice, I'm not going to ask you to do it because
Yeah.
I'm sure people do that and it's probably annoying. But his voice, I hoped to God that really wasn't your voice. I was like, please tell me this guy doesn't really talk like this. Right?
Yeah.
But what a perfect voice for that character. And you mentioned being at airports, observing people physically. But what about that voice? Where did that come from? Is that someone you knew at some point, or did you just like think, well, how did you get that voice?
Yeah, it was fun. So the job happened quite quickly. I auditioned for it like whenever I auditioned for it. But the time between me getting offered the job and traveling from, I was living in New York at the time, traveling from New York to Richmond, Virginia, where we filmed it, was like 2 days. And we'd had our first child. My son had just been born, like the day I got offered the job. And then suddenly I had to leave and go and do this thing. So, you know, my head was all over the place. I really didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this. And by the way, when I went to do the pilot, it wasn't a series regular role anyway. It was just a guest role in the pilot.
Really?
And he got killed when we did the pilot originally. The character died.
Oh.
And that first ambush, they shot him in the face.
Really?
Yeah. When the show got picked up, it got picked up with one of the conditions being that they had to make Simcoe a series regular.
Oh, man.
Because they loved the character so much.
You must love those people.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I mean, really?
I mean, it changed my life.
Yeah, really.
No, it was so exciting. But the voice came about. So anyway, the point is, so I arrived in Richmond, and then one of the first thing that happens when you start anything new on a TV show is that you do a read-through of the pilot. And around that table is everybody who's in the show, right, in that pilot episode, plus crew, like critical, creative crew, like, you know, director, first assistant director, casting directors there. Then you've got, for a pilot, then you also have executives from the network too, right? It's kind of
nerve-wracking,
like a high-stakes room.
Yeah.
But it's all the people who are invested in the show and want it to do well, and so it's also very supportive. But like it's the first time that anybody hears it out loud, especially from the group of people that you've spent a lot of time and investment like assembling, right? So I think there's a bit of like, oh God, this better work, you know? Anyway, prior to that, the day of, I went into a room with Craig Silverstein, the show creator and showrunner, and Rupert Wyatt, who was the director of the pilot. Great men. And we were talking about the character. And Rupert said, oh, you know, I was thinking about this guy, you know. I feel like something needs to be like a little off with him, you know, a little weird. I was like, I'm glad you said that, because I read this script and, you know, he's awful. Like, he's an awful human being.
Yeah.
And I think if it sort of goes down like a really like nasty, you know, it'll be like,
wouldn't have worked.
It'd be a hat on a hat.
Yeah.
And he was talking about, you know, maybe he could have like a stutter, or maybe there could be some kind of impediment, or like
a lisp,
something weird. And I was like, no, I get it. I said, and what I said to him was like, but just given that he's like, you know, one of the most vicious, you know, people you could imagine, like, what if everything he says, it sounds like he's the nicest person in the world?
Yes. Like he's a gentleman.
And the gentlest person in the world. He was like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. What would that sound like? I was like, I don't know. Don't know. I was like, but leave it with me. I'll try something out of the read through.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
you just, the first time you did the voice.
So I went away, and you know, it's hard to believe thinking about it. And I'm very much somebody that wants to be in the sandbox playing.
Yeah.
Not talking about it. So one of the great things about a really rigorous training too, going back to that, is that it's a safe place to fail, which is why drama school, in my opinion, is so important for actors, because once you get in the business, there's often just not the time for it, or like the patience for it, and the space to try a lot of things out.
Right. You gotta get it
Got to
quick.
show up and do it and cut and off.
Right.
But anyway, my instinct is never to talk about it, or practice it. My instinct is to just do it and see what happens. And whilst the read through was like quite a high stakes environment, it's also like a rehearsal. It's really just a rehearsal.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, well, I'll just try something, you know? So I was like super gentle, my voice kind of sits here. So I'm just going to pop something out that's higher up in my register and a bit more
nasally
in the face.
Yeah.
So I just started talking like that. And I said the first line. I think the first line that he says in the series is, "Release the captain, please."
So creepy.
And of course, everyone's really like full-bodied in their voices in the show.
Right.
Which was all happening around me and the table.
Yeah.
Then I just popped out this thing and the whole room went. And I was like, well, that worked. It was very like noticeable, the shift.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'll keep doing that then. And then it was starting to get laughs too around the table, you know?
Well, that's the thing. It's funny. There's like,
oh yeah, it's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also he does have a sense of humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, when we were doing the pilot, because it was really, so everyone was like, oh, that was really cool or whatever. And I was like, oh, good. I'm glad you liked it. And then when we were doing the pilot, it was so like not my own. It was such a character choice, right? That I had like it's particularly on pilots, very, very like, it happens all the time on sets, but definitely on pilots, like the director and the producer and the network, they keep having these little conflabs because they need everything to work. Right. So, you'd be doing a scene or, like a take, and they call cut. And there'd be this huge, this is why pilots take 3 weeks to shoot what would normally take 5 days, whatever, right? Because they keep going away and having these conversations after every take. Well, this, that, and you just see him over by the tree, having a chat. And in my head, because it was also my first big TV show too, so there was a lot of kind of like, devil on the shoulders going on.
They hate you.
Well, it wasn't quite that negative, but in my head,
but it was
definitely a version of that.
Yeah.
In my head, it was like, they're totally going to come and tell me it's too much. Right. They're totally going to, and they would walk over like, here we go. They're going to come and tell me you've taken it too far.
Right.
And they would be like, that joke when someone's running for a hug and then they go and hug someone and they would just go and talk to someone else. I was like, how am I getting away with this? The whole of that pilot episode, I was like, I'm really allowed to do this?
Yeah.
This feels really like out there. And then of course, when I watched it back, it was way less actually.
Sure.
No, it felt way bigger and way more scenery chewing than it actually slotted in really well.
Was it because you were worried that you were chewing up the scenery?
No,
or?
just because it was so far from who I am.
Yeah.
Like naturally.
Right.
So like I was just, it always feels bigger when you're making a departure from how you naturally speak and naturally.
Yeah.
But it was just, and then of course, because they didn't plan for the role to be a series regular originally, as season 1 developed, they were really kind of, not on the fly, but certainly in real time developing the character. Because all the other series regulars had been written for some time, or at least sort of planned out for some time. So what was cool about it is that in a way we were developing the character together. And so there was this kind of organic, very collaborative relationship between what I was doing on set and the writer's room. And when the writer of each episode will always be on set on a TV show. And we would edit together and we would kind of rewrite stuff a little bit together. Or I would say like, it feels a little bit like this, can you solve that problem? And the writer would say, well, how about this? And I'd be like, that's it.
Okay.
Most of the time it was like, how can we do it with less words? Actors always want more to say,
right?
But because Simcoe, was so, superfluous in the way that he spoke and everything he did, that it was more effective when he had less to say in a funny way. So often I was like, it's amazing, but I think, can we do it with less words?
Right?
And often that would be the solution. But it was one of the most like rewarding processes because it was so collaborative.
Last night I watched the episode where he tortures Caleb Brewster with the salt in the wounds.
Nothing he didn't deserve.
But it was so good because there's a point where you go over and wash your hands and then, I don't know, pop some food in your like grape or I don't know what the hell it was, a piece of food in your mouth, and you're talking to him and just like, where do you, I mean, I don't, tell me if I'm right here. I guess I'm not. I'm probably wrong. I know I'm wrong.
We know that.
Before I even say it, I'm wrong. I know I am because I was going to say that's got to be in you somewhere.
With the psycho.
Yes. But then I figured I could hear your answer, which was, well, no, I'm an actor. But then I saw an interview with you. It was a panel you did, and and actually there were two panels, separate ones, and you, obviously, you kept saying that you're portraying human beings. Actors study human beings. They portray human beings, and human beings are everything. Mm-hmm. They're evil.
That's right.
They're good.
They're contradictory. Yeah.
All in the same body.
That's right.
Right. So, of course, we all have a little bit of Simcoe in us. All of us. We may not pull them out as well as you do, but we all have that in us. If given the opportunity and we can get away with it, many of us would torture somebody like that and then pop a grape in our mouth or whatever the hell it was you were eating.
Well, the world teaches us every single day that human beings are capable of anything and everything.
Yes.
The worst and the best things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
There's like an improv game that goes along the lines of if you can imagine it, somebody's done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and that's kind of that's the permission, right?
Okay.
If you believe it, someone else will.
In other words, if you believe that he would wash the blood off his hands to go over and take a piece of food and pop it in his mouth while saying sadistic things to this guy he's torturing, someone else probably did. And you're probably right.
But the thing is, like, those moments, obviously the point of TV is for it to be entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why those instincts come up. But, on one level. But at this point in the show, I think it's season 4 that might have been actually, or season 3.
I think it's 3.
3.
Yeah.
But at this point we know who he is. And certainly I know who he is. And I know the spectrum of behavior. And so when I see a scene, so I didn't request food in that scene, but it was on set. See, this is when you, like, production design is one of the most under-celebrated departments in TV and film. They can make or break the believability and the creativity that's possible on a set. There are many incredible production designers that I've worked with. We have a fantastic one on Gettysburg. Michelle is amazing.
Oh, Michelle is good. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if they're really good, what they do when you get to the start of the day and you get on set, they create a working environment. Mm-hmm. In other words, things do what they're there to do. If there's a fridge in a kitchen, a great production designer has put the things in the fridge that would be in there. Not because it's in the script, not because but if you have an idea, it should be dressed in a way that you can use it, right?
Sure.
So the things you see work. So when I got on that set, there was a bowl, I guess, whatever I couldn't remember it precisely. Maybe it was a bowl of grapes.
You don't
right?
even see what it is.
But there's a bowl of grapes, say, right? If there's a bowl of grapes, the logic is, well, if he gets hungry, he can eat.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And somebody had the idea that, well, maybe he's going to get hungry in here.
Yeah.
So he might have something to eat. So, and as an actor and as someone who loves being in the sandbox and doing things until someone says too much, you know, I play with everything in rehearsal. I mean, I'll literally, like, if I see something that's in my path, I'm like, well, this looks like a good grape, you know, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to do something that, you know, that's not quite in the script, and when you do those things, you know, they like it, you know, it deepens the believability of the world when, you know, when you've got a whole environment and no one kind of interacts with it. I mean, the set is another character in the story. Sure. The environment is another character to work with. And it really is the connective tissue between one moment and another moment. So with stuff like that, that's just, you know, within the confines of the character and the environment, it's just logic to me as a human being. Like, I'm like, well, that job's finished. After we've finished work, we'll have a little drink, little nibble.
Right.
Keep us going till dinner time. You know, these are the things that human beings do. So It made complete sense to me.
Sure. And also when you're torturing a guy who probably hasn't eaten, watching you pop that one little grape in might be torture to him even more on a different level.
I can't remember whether I made that choice or not, but the fact that you did makes my point for me.
Right. Yeah. We're both psychos. Simcoe himself, though, was based on, well, the name is real. But the man, the character is not really the way he was, from what I understand. In fact, Major Hewlett was actually the rough guy in real life. I believe I read somewhere.
Yeah. So John Graves Simcoe, you know, did run the Queen's Rangers for a lot of the war, and then wound up being the first Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, and did wonderful things.
They named a lake after him up there, right?
Lake Simcoe, yeah. In fact, if you go to Ontario, which I have, and by the way, the Queen's Rangers Regiment is still in Toronto.
Okay. They
invited me there for a big event they were having, and made me an honorary member of the Queen's Rangers. They're fantastic people.
Isn't that funny though? For just because you took a job that as a kid you thought was just something people did for fun, and then you get to be like an honorary member of the Queen's Rangers.
It's really crazy.
Yeah.
That's why it's such a charmed experience.
Yeah, sure.
If you get to do it,
great.
And he abolished slavery in that part of the world too, and really built up that area, invested in that area. So, you know, history has written him well. Let's say that. But war is a nasty business.
True.
And all of his journals are written in the third person, which is curious. And and I also think, whilst obviously everybody's like, well, he can't have sounded like that. Probably true. He can't have been that terrible. Probably. But it's possible.
Sure.
Because it's war, and no one reports war, certainly about themselves, and certainly by the victors. No one reports it really completely truthfully.
Right.
So, in other words, the poetic license has some potential honesty in it. That was always the permission that I thought we had. And in any case, like, the job is not to completely recreate, not always, it depends what the project is. In this instance, there's a couple of things going on. One, you're portraying the guy, right? But we don't. There's no video. Like no one knows what he sounds like, looks like.
No.
And you know the sort of bird's eye view of it, of course, as well, is that this guy he's the villain in the show, so he has to be different,
Right.
in some way. So I think, you know, and it was written entertainingly as well. So
Very.
I think like, but it's true. Like there was a lot of freedom to play. And if we were doing a strict biopic about Simcoe, would he be written like that? I doubt it.
I don't. Yeah. Was he even at Setauket?
No, not like not.
So he was plucked out of another.
The Rangers were around that area, and the Rangers were doing operations around the area. Was there a direct link to the people of Setauket in the way that it was written in the show? I don't think so.
Okay, so they just put him there as the menacing character.
Yeah, but it tracks. But it was It's definitely possible that there was an interaction.
Sure,
it's just maybe not documented in that way here.
Did that role open up a lot of other opportunities? I mean, I'm sure it did, but I guess more specifically, did people try to offer you psycho villain roles? And did you feel like you were getting pigeonholed?
Not at all, actually. No, I think it just like it. I think people knew that I was a character actor,
Okay.
you know, essentially, and that it really just helped put me on the map and, you know, get me in people's brains a little bit, you know, in the business.
Yeah.
Like, and so no, it wasn't like people were like suddenly offering me lots of that stuff. But I have played like lots of psychos in my career.
Do you like that?
I really like complex human beings. Every actor does.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most interesting to play. People who are nothing like you and do things that, you know, you couldn't possibly imagine yourself doing, whatever it be. It could be something that isn't like sadistic and horrible. But those are fascinating to try and, you know, like be a detective and work out why they are, like that, and then truthfully portray them is the reason why the job's fun. So I love like trying to figure out what makes somebody like that tick. It's really fun to me, and so those characters I find that I can do because I'm so interested in why they're like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think like so many of the people that do these awful things, often the reason why they get away with doing these terrible things for as long as they do, like serial killers and that kind of thing, is because no one suspects them.
Yeah.
Because ostensibly they're doing awful things. The things that they do are heinous, but the way they are in the world, they're
good at blending in,
or not noticeable. Yeah. And I think, you know, that's in a way, like that's the more shocking. Like if they dressed in a clown suit and waved a mace around their head, you'd be like, oh, that tracks, right?
right.
But if they're an accountant and they put on like a grey suit of the day and they really love pickleball,
mm-hmm. You would never suspect.
Slip right in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. You'd invite them to your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the danger. One of our viewers now, it's one of our patrons, so it's only like 5 people that watch during the day, but one of them watching, Dustin, he says, Samuel, which is you, did such a great job with Simcoe. Made me tune in to the next episode and hope Simcoe would be killed. But then again, I wanted him to survive to the next episode because he was so good. And that's true. You want the character to die, but you don't want the actor to not come back
or the actor
and
to
do
die.
the character. Well, you certainly don't want the actor to die. Could you imagine that if you died and they had to get somebody to replace? They wouldn't. They'd have to kill off the character.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah, absolutely irreplaceable. You could say that with confidence No sense of
human
irony
can.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
So that's great. I think when people want him to die, and hate him, like people often come up to me and say like, I hate you. I'm like, then it worked.
Yes, exactly.
Well
That's
done.
what you basically, our conversation at the church. Well, I don't know if you remember, I said, I hated that character.
That's right.
And you were like, thank you.
Yeah, that's right. It's a total compliment.
It is.
I think that's at the end. So when you're on a show, particularly a war show, right? First of all, any TV show that you get on as like a regular, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to ride that wave all the way to the beach,
Sure.
right? So every actor's fear is that at some point they're going to be like, you're done.
Do they tell you that? Like, okay, so did you know what Simcoe's fate was? Like, if they're like, if we take this all the way.
So this is the story.
Okay.
So we're 2 episodes away from the end of season 1.
Uh-huh.
And I can't remember why. Maybe it was around Christmas time or maybe it wasn't. But anyway, everybody was in the pub one night. And I went up to one of the writers and I was like, bro, end of the first season, the character's clearly awful, right? And I said, if he's going to be killed, can you just put me out my misery and let me know?
Right.
And he said to me, isn't that what people would expect? And I was like, yeah, good point.
And you went back and enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was the thing. You want him to get his comeuppance.
Yes.
But like balancing that with how entertaining it is.
Right. Well, and there were a few times where they made you think he was dead.
Yeah,
or
when his ear got shot off. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Or,
added 2 hours a day to make up.
Did it?
Yeah, yeah.
How do they do that? What do they tuck your ear in? And...
Yeah, they glue your act. They would glue my act. It was like, honestly, it was really a full 2 hours extra at the start of the day and an hour extra at the end. They have to like paste your hair down. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Then they glue your ear to your head.
Okay.
All parts of it so that it becomes as flat as possible. And then they had a prosthetic that they then put over the top, which was a fake ear with a piece out of it. And then they had to like wig on top of that. And it was a whole thing. It was amazing.
I was going to say that, you mentioned the production designers, but the makeup artists too, and the special effects makeup people, they're pretty remarkable. Where do they come up with that stuff?
Where do they come up with what?
The way they come up with
the way they come up with
the way they do things,
and
the techniques.
There was one of the Ashley was our the head of makeup, but there was one of the people that worked for her was this girl called Katie, and she's an absolute wizard with latex and molds and everything. So she would make at the start of each week, like on a Sunday or whatever, she would make like 20 ears. So she had a box of these fake ears.
Okay.
So they would have
you
enough.
Could wreck
every
them
time.
if you needed to or whatever.
It was like, it was amazing.
When they would put it on and then at the end of the day take it off, is that no longer usable?
Yeah, no, yeah. You
okay, so you got
because you have to kind of like melt it off. You have to like melt it. Like it comes with like so the ear, and then there's like a thin like just sheet around it. So you cut it so you have enough to stick down,
okay.
And then you kind of like with I think it's like acetone or something. They like melt the edges away.
Okay.
Right? So that it kind of blends with your skin.
I see. Yep.
Like a really thin layer, but it's really strongly stuck. And then they put makeup over the top to like
cover it.
Cover the edges, whatever. But like, yeah, so in other words, to get it off, you kind of have to melt it off the edge. So you couldn't really, and they're a bit gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
And you've been sweating on them.
Yeah, you don't want to read
no one needs
That's
to,
disgusting.
No one needs, yeah, it is.
Yeah. How about horseback riding? Every time we have an actor in here, they always say, anytime they ask you, an actor says, yes, I can ride a horse, and then you got to learn how to ride a horse.
That's
and
right.
All that. But I would imagine if you're doing ballet, you probably learned how to ride a horse.
So at Bristol Old Vic Theatre School, I don't know if they still do this, but when I was there, they famously took you out for one day,
Oh,
maybe twice. I went twice. 2 days in the spring/summer semester of your final year, you would go horse riding
okay.
for like 2 hours, so that on your resume you could put horse riding. Did it?
You're not lying.
You're not
right?
technically
No,
lying.
Yeah.
And you did learn something, right? But yes, it holds.
Yeah.
When I got that show, it wasn't like a condition anyway, but like, you know, and when you go to they weren't like, well, unless you can horse ride, you can't do this job.
Sure.
But when you go to start the job, then I went to the ranch in Virginia and met the wranglers and everything, and they're like, well, how much have you ridden before? And I was like completely honest with them.
2 hours.
I had, by the way, at that point, I had done, I think maybe 3 jobs where I had to ride a horse before.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been very intimidated by horses.
Really?
They're just so powerful.
Yes, they are.
And have the potential to be extremely dangerous.
Sure.
So I'm just very respectful of their like power, and I don't in any way feel like I know how they operate.
Right.
You know. So I was very honest with them when, you know, because that's the safe thing to do.
Yes.
It's to be like, you know,
lie to the director, be honest to the
I love
wrangler.
horses, but I'm also like healthily terrified of them.
Yeah.
And I've not been riding horses enough in my life to say that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I know a little bit. They were like, good, okay, well, let's start here. And then, you know.
And you had to, sorry to interrupt you, but you had to learn how to ride a specific way too. Because you're a British dragoon, whatever the hell.
Yeah, so they would teach that. The first horse I got was this stallion, and amazing, like beautiful horse, and we just didn't jive. We just didn't. It just didn't.
It happens.
Everything just felt clunky, and we couldn't get in rhythm.
Right.
And then I think they gave me like an older horse, you know.
Yeah.
And I think actually it was I think. I'm right. It was Daniel Day-Lewis's horse in Lincoln.
Oh.
And so that ended up being my horse. And she was this brown older horse, and that became my horse for the show. I had the same horse
the whole way through.
It was always my horse. So we got to know each other a bit. I felt like she knew when it was me, and as opposed to somebody else. And I grew to really love it. And then I did get confident, you know, but she threw me once as well. So like I had a reason to like know that. I think in the end they discovered it wasn't me. The wranglers are funny actually. They were like, you know, most of the time when a horse throws a human, because it's not usually about the human.
Yeah.
So in this instance, it was a new saddle and something was bothering her. And so she was just like, get off. To the saddle, but not thinking that there's something else. I don't care. So, and that's what it was. So they were like, oh, that's weird. I think it's like, this is a bit rough on her skin or whatever. So,
do people, when you meet them, are they terrified of you? Like, and do you play with them?
No.
I mean, people who've seen you on turn, I mean.
Yeah, no, most people are just like, they
get it.
Everyone's lovely. Most people are just joking around, oh, I hate you and all, you know. So, no one's really scared.
I got to tell you, because at dinner last Friday, I was a little, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous because you were 2 seats down from me, but there was nobody in between us. And I was waiting at any moment while I was talking to Bruce and Alfonso. I was waiting for a knife in my throat.
Yeah, I will stab you in the neck. I mean, but
right.
Is that scary to people?
Some people who like to live.
Sensitive people get a little about.
Yeah, that's what it is. They're sensitive. They just can't take a little stabbing in the neck.
Come on.
Yeah, I know.
If you don't deserve it, you've got nothing to worry about.
That's a great point. What have you got to hide if you're doing nothing wrong that deserves a stabbing in the neck? Mm-hmm. All right, another thing that you do, because we're running out of time here. Another thing you do is DJing.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking about it before the show because I am an old man in many, many ways, even though I'm only a couple years older than you are.
Yeah.
But I never understood EDM or house music, or techno, all that stuff. Never got it. But we had a pretty good conversation about it before. I wish I had recorded it because it was like a therapy session almost for me, because you made me realize a few things about myself, which I thought was great, because I don't get it. And really,
$175.
is that all?
Yeah, we can do cash or check.
Do you take insurance?
You can Zelle too.
I can Zelle you.
Yeah, that's
great.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I need a receipt so I can submit it to my insurance.
Yeah.
But no,
I don't go through insurance.
You don't go through. Well, no, that's why I have to submit it as a reimbursement.
I'm out of network.
You're out of network, of course. Of course you are. I'm frustrated that I don't understand it. And you made a good point. You said, well, you don't like it. And I think, yeah, but I'm a pretty empathetic guy, believe it or not. And I usually can get things I don't like.
Yeah.
Right? Like meatloaf. I don't like meatloaf, but I get it.
The singer or the food?
Both. Both. God rest his soul. I don't get either one. But I don't like either one, but I understand why people do.
Yeah.
I never could see it.
Yeah.
But you explained it to me, and it's different. You started DJing around the same age you went to acting school. Is that right?
Oh, no. I started DJing when I was like 14.
14. And acting school was when?
Oh, I didn't go. I went to university first when I was 18.
Oh, you did? Oh,
and then I went to drama school when I was...
Drama school, excuse me.
20... No, it's the same thing. I did my actor training when I was 21.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were into the DJing first, and your brother got you into it? Or you somehow?
Yeah, so like my I'm the youngest of three brothers, and both of my brothers were really into, this was like the mid-90s in the north of England. So it was really like the first kind of explosion of rave culture on a mass scale in the UK. All this music from Chicago had come over to England in like the late 80s, early 90s. So kind of when I was like 10, 11, at which point my brother was like 15, 16, starting to go out when he shouldn't have been, all that stuff.
Right.
By the time he was like 17, he was like, getting in a van with some friends and going to a party under a freeway, we call it motorway bridge, somewhere where someone had set up a sound system. There'd be like an illegal rave happening, warehouses, secret locations, all of this stuff was happening. And you can imagine as a younger brother, like hearing these stories from your brother and like being shared that secret or whatever, like how alluring that was. Sure. And then at that time as well, they would come back with, the culture was that you would go to these events, right? But then the DJs would make these mixes on cassettes. And so he would also come back with music that you couldn't get. There was no way to buy this music in the store, right? So this like underground house music was only available if someone had it, right? How
would they get it?
From like at the parties.
Oh, okay. So the DJ brought
you'd
copies.
Buy them for £1 at the parties or whatever, It was another way. It was merch, basically.
Sure.
And, but in any case, like this music would come into our house, and I thought it was like this, like 4 to the floor, like, and it was, the piano section, it was just so exciting to me. And then I could imagine, explain to me like, and then like, you're in this, like you're in a warehouse with people, and then suddenly, and you'd hear the breakdown and the kick come back in, and I like got it immediately. I thought it was so exciting. And then some of our friends, one of whom I'm really close with still, Barnett, him and his brother was the same age as my brother, and they were going out together. In their garage, they had like floor to ceiling, wall to wall. It was vinyl everywhere, and they had Technics 12 10s and a mixer, and his brother actually was like really doing well as a house DJ, and potentially could have like done it as a career if he'd chosen to. But anyway, the younger brothers, me and my mate Barnett, would get on the decks when they would let us or when they weren't using them. And we taught ourselves how to mix and beat match. And
that's the best way, by the way. is to teach yourself through enjoying just fun.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And we loved the music, and then we started doing our own gigs. Or like he'd get a gig and I'd go with him, or I'd get a gig, he would come with me. And then I started DJing like school discos, and then when I went to university, I got involved in the student union. And then we started our own party, and we ended up getting a contract with the biggest house club we were in the city of Hull, which is on the east coast of England. And at that time, it's probably true now, but like at that time, like having like a dance music club was like, it was a big deal. Like it was so hot, the scene, that every major city, or even, second city had a club where touring DJs could come and play and you could sell tickets, right?
And we're talking, 1990s?
Yeah, that was 98, 99.
Okay.
And so then, and we got the Wednesday night at that club, because they obviously wanted to like sell as many, and we could pull in the students or whatever. And we ran that for 2 years.
Really?
Oh yeah. And then I decided to become an actor. Like after university, I was like, I'm definitely going to do this. And then I auditioned for drama schools, got in, and I was still DJing throughout that time, but it was becoming less of a focus for me.
Why? What happened where you were so into it?
Because I think like, certainly in England, like at that time, I think it's less so now, but at that time, England, it's why like you have to pick the subject you're going to study at university when you're like 16, right? You kind of like, I'm going to study this, and you don't do like a general liberal arts degree or whatever, or a sciences degree, and then you specialize, I'm going to study business or whatever afterwards. Like you decide right at the beginning, and that's what you do. And there's very much a like stay in your lane vibe.
Sure.
And so when I decided I was going to be an actor, it was, well, I'm choosing to be an actor and not a DJ, right? It didn't occur to me that I could be all of these things.
Sure.
That came later.
Right.
But at that time I was like, but I was also very like singular about, I believe that like, I still believe this, if you want to become good at something, you have to focus on that one thing.
Yes.
And get really good at that one thing. It doesn't mean it's the only thing you're ever going to do, but if you're ever going to be good at it, you've got to you
got to shut everything out.
I think so.
Yeah,
You've got to just choose it.
Do you have ADD?
No. But you got to choose it for a while. Get good at that, and then you can okay, that's on the boil now.
Yeah.
What else are we doing?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think you have to, if you're going to master it, like you've got to shut everything else out.
I think it's really good too. And so that's what I did. So I was like, well, I'm going to be an actor. That's my focus. I'm going to immerse myself in what that is. I keep banging this microphone.
Everybody does. Yeah. I got to get a different system.
And so it just went on the back burner a little bit. When I moved to but I was still doing parties, here and there, and I was still very much like going as a raver to clubs and partying and stuff. And then when I moved to London after drama school, then it was something that I would do fairly regularly. I remember when I was doing, so I was at the National Theatre for a while, and I did, I can't remember what show we were doing. I think it may have been Henry IV, parts 1 and 2. We were doing this big Shakespeare play. But on a few Saturdays, I would take over the bar at the National Theatre. I'd play house music, we party, and
what if I might have an idea here. Maybe somebody's already done it.
Yeah, go on. What's this?
But if you decide to do it,
yeah,
I want credit.
Sure.
Okay, it's a good creator or something. What if you mix like they did with Hamilton?
Yeah.
Right, but you mix Shakespeare with your music in some kind of way. This would be up to you.
Yeah.
But this is the idea.
It might have already been done, actually.
Yeah, but maybe, but not with you doing it.
No, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. And yes, no bad ideas. Yeah.
Think about it as you're flying home.
I will.
This is one of those idea grenades. Mm-hmm. You throw it, and then it'll blow up in your mind later.
I mean, I will say that there is. I wrote a short film called The Break, which won a few awards at film festivals and whatever. And
Congratulations.
well, thanks. And it was about like a DJ having his first kind of breakout moment, and there's another project that I'm still developing, which is about a really important club in Liverpool, and so like the scene around in the like early 90s, you know, I'm still very interested in the stories around the culture, because I think because it's so misunderstood sometimes that it's just people going and getting off their faces and like not really, and just like as some sort of escapism, which is also part of it. But it is really like a movement that is growing, really still. But the roots of it are really fascinating, and how obviously like the musical roots of it are in music that came out of Chicago, right, and Detroit and that kind of stuff, right? But you know, as someone who experienced it, you know, as it came to England, in the north of England at that time, like that story is really interesting. And so I am interested in telling that story and kind of combining, because, you know, I'm a writer too. And so combining this side of my world, the acting and the writing and that part, with that music side is something that I'm merging towards, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm very interested in that. And, you know, and it's not a crazy idea what you're saying, actually. And we've seen it now. Also, of course, what Lin-Manuel Miranda did is, you know, you could never imagine the story of the revolution being told with hip hop. But he did it. And it worked beautifully.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's really interesting always.
You're very busy. You got a lot of stuff going on, and yet you still have the time to have a family. That's pretty good. I can't handle one thing.
Well, I would look at it the other way around.
You have a family.
I have a family, and I still have time to do the other things.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Know? Yeah. They let you do the other things.
They do. They do. Like, yeah. My wife's a very tolerant person.
Yeah.
But it's I think everybody recognizes as well that like I'm happiest when I'm busy doing what I love doing.
Yeah.
It's good for me to go away and work on projects, you know, have that creative experience and then come back again and have like a really kind of stabilizing environment to like, you know, to launch out of, to do the next thing. So yeah, I think it like naturally balances itself. I mean, obviously, like if you're away for a long time, you have to figure out how to stay connected.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. But we do. And, you know, typically projects now, you know, you're not away for 6 months. You're usually away for about 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Right.
You know,
everything's more quickly done now.
Yeah. And then also like if you're in America, you know, I mean, I live in Chicago now. I'm right in the middle. It's very easy to travel in and out of. So oftentimes you can, you know, pop back.
Your wife is American.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
met her here, I'm guessing.
No, actually we met at the Edinburgh Festival.
Oh, really?
In Scotland.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Yep.
And you live in Chicago, right in Chicago or Chicago area?
Yeah, right in Chicago, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You like cities?
I do. I've always lived in cities.
Yeah.
I really do like cities. I also have like a real yearning for like, you know, woods, mountains and lakes. But, you know, I'm definitely more like woods and mountains than ocean, I would say. Like as
ocean leaves a sticky film on you. It's, you know.
So do the wrong lakes.
That's true too.
But, like I really feed off the energy that cities give you. And I also just really like, I like the melting pot of a city. I think it's really healthy for humans to be around many different people.
I agree.
And many different walks of life. I think it's energizing and inspiring, and creates community.
Yeah.
And
It's not boring.
and it's never boring.
No.
It's loud.
That's why I like living
That's
here,
good.
because in town, you've got everybody.
Yeah.
Outside of town, you got nobody, because it's all countryside.
That's right,
So you
yeah.
can. So we live outside of town, and I can see my neighbors across the street, but we don't really look across the street.
Right.
But like the other three sides of my property, can't see anybody. And that's the way I like to live.
Sounds nice.
And then I like to come in here for the excitement and the fun.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, and I work in town, and then I leave.
That's right.
And that's what I like about a small town. It's almost like a city, because
Yeah.
you got all that diversity of food and people and events and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go out to cultureless trees and you get some peace and quiet. And I like that. I get both worlds there.
Yeah, you
know?
do,
Yeah. But yeah, you city people, I never could understand that either. But I wish I could, because you're right. I grew up outside of New York City, and I used to love to visit, because there's no energy in the world like going to, I'm just going to say, a city, a major city, right? They all have their own energy, right? And it's thrilling and it's exciting, and it was always a fun time to go in. And I said, I don't know if I could live here because of all the noise, all the people, you know. But yeah, good for you that you get to do that and you like it. Last question.
Yeah.
That I'm going to take you home. What is the one thing in your career or careers that you're most proud of?
You know, I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that it's still going. Like the I have the resilience and the current excitement that I have for it. I'm really proud that that I was able to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
To make it a job.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm really like grateful that I've had the opportunities I've had and that they worked out and that I've been able to actually do the work. And I don't know, it excites me still. Like I still love doing it. I never feel more comfortable than when I'm on a set or walking into a theater. Everything else around it is way more confusing and complicated. Yeah. But for me, I don't feel any of the fear or anxiety about being on stage or when they call roll. I'm like, oh, well, I understand this. That's the feeling for me.
Right.
And so I think if I was to like go back to the beginning, and if I don't look back in this way that we've spoken about very often, or like certainly like I'm not instinctively a nostalgic person, but when I look back at like the beginning and the sort of like the feeling of need that I had, like, oh, I need to do this as a life pursuit or a career
vocation.
Pursuit. Yeah. So when I, if I look back at it and go, well, if you put that feeling with all the things that have happened so far, that's something to be proud of.
I agree. That's great. I did lie to you though. Gettysburg, 1863.
Yeah.
Who do you play? Tell us a little about it.
I play Lieutenant Kelly. So the film is about domestic life in the Civil War, which is cool because, typically Civil War movies are about the fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas this is the effect of the fighting on civilian life. And my character, Lieutenant Kelly, is the father, the patriarch of the family. He is away in he's a Union soldier, and he's at Harper's Ferry station. That's right, isn't it? Yeah, Harper's Ferry. Yeah, and he's stationed there when the film begins, and and the family is dealing with lack of everything, and Kelly manages to make it home for Christmas, and it's a big deal. I'm leaving out some key elements.
Of course, you got to go see the movie.
That's the character.
Yeah,
that's the character. So it's he's a soldier and a father, and who are in active duty, that go away to the war. And I was talking about this with Bo Brinkman, the writer and director, last night. Is you're forever changed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, especially if you live in the middle of a war zone too, right? Which,
right.
It's still happening, but the Civil War, it happened to everybody in America. Like, you're going to be forever changed. This is one of the themes of the movie too, is that everybody's changed by this experience, and the study is how is each person changed. So I think it's like quite interesting when you see a guy, which you do in the movie, you see him out in the field being that version of who he is, and then being plonked back into domestic life, and you see that version of him as well, and how what that transition's like. It's interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did this. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And the schooling you gave me on DJing and all that, because I feel changed by this conversation.
You feel changed?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Thank
I
you.
absolutely do. And I'm going to. I bet you do too. Yeah. I'm going to. I'm going to look at EDM and all that stuff a little differently now.
I'll see you on the dance floor.
You'll see me passed out on the dance floor. Yes, you will. And people calling an ambulance to come and help me.
Happens to several people.
I'm sure it does. But it's just literally just me trying to dance. I'll have a heart attack. I don't need any kind of illicit drugs or anything like that to get there. I'm just teasing, of course. Everybody, thank you for watching. Sam, thank you for doing this.
My
I
pleasure.
appreciate it. And check out Gettysburg 1863 when it comes out. And Turn is on Netflix again, or for the first time, I should say. So go check it out if you haven't, because it's a great show. And Sam is fantastic in it. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Can I get you to do an ID for me?
Sure.
Okay. So just look into the camera, identify yourself, and say, but include Turn, because that's, the history crowd. Okay. Turn and Gettysburg 1863. And you're listening to Addressing Gettysburg, or you're watching Addressing Gettysburg.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm Samuel Roukin from Term Washington Spies and Gettysburg 1863, and you are watching Addressing Gettysburg.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you very much.
Good times.
Guys. All right. I'll just stop everything, and then we'll get you back. I like your sneakers.
Thanks, man.
So, shit, I meant to...